Welcome to the Logistics Business Virtual Show. I'm Paul Hamblin, I'm editor of Logistics Business Magazine. We're running the virtual show this week. We have our clients, we have our exhibitors, and of course we have our expert panels, of which this example concerns the loading bay, goods in, goods out, a vital part of any warehouse logistics operation. And I'm delighted to say we've been joined by three experts from, well, global, UK, the States and Europe. I will ask them to introduce themselves very briefly, and then we'll get into the main content. But just to say that should you have any questions for our panel, or indeed on the subjects of goods in and loading bay and the dock, please do use the text panel, the live text chat, and we will make sure that your questions are answered. So without further ado, let me ask the panel just to briefly introduce themselves. Let me start with you, Mark.
Okay, Mark Kennedy, pleased to meet you all. Vice President, National Accounts for GMR Safety, manufacturers of the power chocks, which are the chocks used to restrain vehicles at dock doors throughout the 29 countries and counting right now. Thank
you, Mark. And Natasha?
Good afternoon, Natasha Hickmans from Right Height UK, who are innovators and leaders in regards to providing products for in and around safety at the loading bay for safety, security and productivity.
Thanks, Natasha. And Wouter?
Wouter Satijn, Sales Director and co-owner of Geloda Hydrol from the UK, also based in the US and in Holland. We are a global market leader in loading, unloading systems, automatic, manual. Press the button and the load whizzes in 2 minutes. That's exactly what we do for more than 50 years.
Fantastic. And I should point out for our audience that Wouter is living proof that the world is opening up again and that people are getting out on the road, because as you can see, that isn't the backdrop. Wouter is indeed out on the road. So let's crack on. So we've said the importance of the loading dock. How important is the loading dock in the smooth performance of a warehouse operation? Wouter, answer that for us. How much does it matter?
Most important, and not only in a warehouse operation, but also where many of the goods come from production sites. This is where everything comes in, gets used for production, then it's packed many times now, automatically packed, then it has to go out again, and then it goes to a automated, semi-automated or a manual warehouse. So it's extremely important because all the goods pass in and out through those doors.
Absolutely. So anything to add to that, Mark or Natasha?
Go ahead, Natasha, please.
Thanks, Mark. I could say nothing more than exactly that. It is absolutely the heartbeat of getting anything in or out of any kind of facility, be it production or warehouse. So I would say it's quite possibly one of the most important areas in any facility for sure.
And I would add to those golfing enthusiasts, it's like not having the putter in your bag of clubs, is not having the dock door, or for those who like cooking, it's not having a kitchen in your house if you don't have a dock door. That's how important they are to the operation and smooth transition of goods in and out.
Let's look at what can go wrong before we start addressing how you guys make it go right. What can go wrong at a loading dock? Mark, why don't you kick us off with that?
Oh, there's several areas because of the volume of movement that happens around the dock doors, which is the highest movement place in the warehouse. There are a lot of safety hazards because of the moving parts. You have vehicles and people moving materials. There's material handling equipment, which is moving from one place to another. If there is any kind of disorganization or inefficiency in the movement, it becomes an injury center that the dock operation is complete. And it's not only the injury side, which is the most important part in the dock safety, but also it slows down the operation. If you have that disorganization, it also gets bad service at the end of the day. You could have wrong things going on the wrong trucks to the wrong customers, losing the customers in the future. So it's also bad for business. Usually in the United States, which is where I'm talking from right now, you try and make the connections between bad, if it's bad on the business and bad on the safety, you get much more buy-in from the corporations to invest in that area.
Right. Would you like to add anything to that, Natasha?
I think the key points that Mark has absolutely highlighted are absolutely correct. The consequences are never ending. It's from the person, it's the impact on them, their lifestyle. Then if there is any accidents which could be fatal or life-changing, the consequences back to any businesses are huge, be it from fines, investigations, brand damage, productivity. The list is huge, and the consequences can be business altering as much as life altering. So there are some really big things to really be very mindful of when we talk about what can go wrong. I think that they can literally be the end of a business, ultimately, dependent upon the severity of what actually does go wrong. I don't want to sound too grim about it, but sorry.
Absolutely. No, I was going to say Wouter, and downtime to a business as well is a major downer, is it not?
Absolutely, downtime, and what was said, we focus many times on safety and on injuries and even death, but also smaller frustrations, product damages, scratches on boxes of customers or that have to go into retail, repacking, all kinds of costs like that. And I think it's a very interesting area, the loading bay or the unloading bay, because it's also the end of or the entrance. That's where you meet other suppliers, transport equipment that you many times don't control. There can a lot can go wrong, and it screams for attention. It's very important.
Absolutely. So look, let's look at the positives. Let's look at what can be done to address some of these difficulties. We'll come on to conveying and unloading, etc., Wouter, but let's start with safety issues. Mark, I'll come back to you. Start running through some of the products, some of the solutions you've got for some of these difficulties, so how you can prevent them happening.
Well, in GMR, we concentrate on the loading and unloading from the truck side, on the dock to truck type of operation.
Right.
So we manufacture a product called the Power Chalk, which is a chalk that that the driver actually places in front of the wheels of the truck to ensure the truck doesn't move during the loading and unloading period, where we see a lot of the accidents occur, where you have either premature departure of the truck during the loading and unloading, where a forklift driver could be basically falling into a pit and causing extensive damage to himself, if not even death. And it also ensures that that chalk is 19 inches high. The driver cannot depart prematurely. The chalk also ensures what we call trailer creep, which I don't know if the audience is familiar with, but it happens a lot during the winter time in the northern areas in the United States, northern areas in Europe as well, where the trailer slowly creeps away on the ice, away from the dock itself, and creating that gap again, that hazardous condition for the driver. So GMR provides this Power Chalk. The chalk gets placed. There is an electronic signal that is sent to the dock worker to advise him that the chalk is in place, and there is a safe situation that you can do the loading and unloading from. What's nice with that is you're getting all the people, the dock workers as well as the drivers, to participate in the safety cycle. There is no bypassing the safety cycle. The way, if you do try and bypass it, there is an alarm which ensures that everybody in the area knows that that safety cycle is being bypassed and it's being rectified immediately.
Okay, thank you. Natasha, tell us about some of Right Heights solutions in this area.
So when we're looking at addressing the risks and of the things that can go wrong and how we can improve safety, that Right Height have a number of different solutions. primarily when we look on the outside, we have the global wheel lock vehicle restraint, which is a mechanical restraint. Most of the work is done by the vehicle as it's approaching to the dock or leaving the dock, but all of the safety controls and the management of the locking and unlocking sequence is all maintained inside the building. So that gives the ultimate control to the dock operator, which is what you really want to be able to achieve. Going on from there, we have a number of other products, particularly right in this area. We have some excellent LED dock lighting that really does help to illuminate inside the vehicle whilst operatives are going in and out, so it gives them good clear visibility once they're going into the back of a trailer. But also on the reverse out, the lights have a dimming function so as not to blind and dazzle people. When we look at, once we're in the dock and if there isn't a vehicle on the bay, there is a dock guardian barrier, which can be fully interlocked to the safe sequence of operation to ensure that a complete process is followed. That sits neatly across the front of the loading bay door inside the building, offers protection of the door tracks, but also protects the potential drop-off of a loading bay should there be any impact from inside by any vehicular equipment, be it pallet truck, forklift, etc. And those are some of the key things immediately on the loading dock that Right Height have for improving at the dock.
Sure, and of course you have other products. Of course, you have doors, the doors, etc., which we could potentially talk about. But I mean, you know, before I come on to the issue of labour with Wouter, you know, it feels like every warehouse in any sort of self-regarding company ought to already have all these kind of facilities. What sort of percentage of facilities do you guys think are out there that simply don't have this level of cover and safety that you're discussing? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so well, it's a tricky question to answer because you can look at it on a corporate wide. Typically, we see these the initiatives of placing such safety mechanisms as a corporate generated instruction, if you like, or edict to all its operations across the country. If you're looking at those privately owned companies that have one-off warehouses, not very familiar or don't deal with a lot of volume, you don't see much of that safety equipment in there. So on the corporate side, yeah, here in the United States, I will say the risk of being sued for injury is enough of a sword above your head to make the necessary safety investments, if you like, in the operations. I would say on the corporate side, you're seeing 60–70% of the operations having some sort of safety mechanisms at the dock, be it lights, be it the GMR power chocks, dock locks, glad handles, those kind of things.
Right. Of course, the important thing about all this is we're talking about safety for human beings. So coming on to you, Wouter, manual labor, etc., staff shortages. You have a product, I believe, that can save a lot of this for people. Tell us about it.
Absolutely, yeah. And also, I think in the UK and many other countries now, a super hot topic, the lack of actual drivers, forklift drivers, but also AGV lorry drivers. Why keep those lorries at bay 45 minutes or an hour while you can whiz in your load within 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and sweat the asset of not only the lorry, but also the lorry driver, and definitely increase all the safety. But for me, and what the other speakers just also said, and for the listeners, may be very interesting, I am in a very fortunate situation that we visit a lot of warehouses, a lot of fantastic factories, and you make the tour and they would like to have an automated loading dock in such and such place, but you pass all these doors. And naturally, where are you walking? Right behind the doors, across all the loading bays, which is absolutely the danger zone. And because there are forklift drivers racing in and out under time pressure, etc. And that's the natural place where people walk. There's no flyovers or walkovers, or if not, you walk whatever 53 foot or 14, 15 meters inside the hole. Well, there's the highway of where all the forklifts are driving. So we are big advocates of 100% end of line automation at the end of the factory line, automated palletizing, and an AGV, LGV takes over, or a conveyor brings it to the door, automatically load this, bring it to a warehouse, automatically unload it, and then no touch directly into the fully automated racking. You cut out a lot of labor, a lot of damage, and you increase the safety by, well, 200%, let's say. It's so important, and we fully understand that the automation will never happen all over, everywhere, etc. That's not possible, but we must make steps, because simple, there is not labor enough, and definitely not in the danger zones. Don't just throw more labor at it. Absolutely not.
Can your product? Sorry,
if I could just to add to what Walter was saying, he's absolutely right with the danger zone and the increase in traffic. We're seeing it especially now with the pandemic that had occurred, where deliveries are occurring on smaller and smaller trucks, which is increasing the actual traffic on the docks, where before you had a certain X number of trucks that are coming to the dock. Now you have smaller trucks, exponentially more of them, which is creating even more movement at the docks, placing more people in danger. Just wanted to accentuate your point there, Walter.
Thanks, yeah.
And well, just staying with that, Mark, just for a second, since you've raised it, can these vehicles, are they appropriate to be at these loading docks in terms of the size and where they meet, where the lip of the truck meets, etc., meets the dock?
There are several companies out there that do offer ramps to move and adjust to the dock heights to provide the services for it. What we're seeing, and we've seen the growth in GMR, is a lot of the trucks that are coming to the doors now are trucks that have lift gates. And in the case of a lift gate, if you have a dock lock, which restrains the vehicle to the dock, that's not going to work with a lift gate, because the lift gate has to be down in order to open up the doors. So you have to look at a wheel restraint type of solution in order to restrain the truck to the door itself. I hope that answered the question or where you were going with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there are accommodations for vehicle movements, vehicle height adjustments. I'm not giving any commercials to other people. I did hear a company called Dockzilla, which has a pneumatic movement ramps that adjust if a van comes in compared to if a 53-foot truck comes in to adjust to the dock height.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Coming back to you, Wouter, we were talking about automatic load unload, and you talked about the role of manual labor. We know that staff shortages are a major issue, not just in UK but in Europe as well. But another big issue for companies is speed, isn't it? They want efficiency and they want safety, but they want speed as well. What can you tell us about the speed of your product in terms of load and unload automatically? Is it as fast as if people were doing it, or what?
I tell you what, sometimes you would wonder, because obviously we in Holland are big Formula One fans, and I still think that a lot of failed
It's not over yet, you know. There's still a bit of the season left.
I know.
Verstappen doesn't have it yet, so let's cool down.
I think, guys, a lot of failed Formula One drivers are now forklift drivers. With respect to I see guys and girls going at speeds that you think, wow. Now, what we do, we bring the whole load together and we one-shot it in from the back. So that's why we're always faster than manual labor, and especially we turn around the truck within, let's say, 2-minute actual loading time. Driving away, closing the door, so actual 5-minute turnaround time. Nobody can beat that, and I don't fill in the time in that it takes to load a truck. I always ask the customer when we build the business case for them. But I'm a big advocate for specialization, automation of the biggest volumes out of a factory and into a warehouse. do that on dedicated doors. Don't make cross flows where one time the door is a loading bay, then it's an unloading bay again. So really dedicate and think about your layout in that way. And then automation is beating the speed and the other benefits. Again, we're talking safety, other damages, etc., but also environmental aspects. It's beating it always. One fact. Tapping into the lorry driver shortage, an average automatic trailer loading implementation will save 10,000 waiting hours for one lorry driver a year, and which is we save 2,700 kilometers on a forklift. I don't know whoever drove from Amsterdam to Barcelona on a forklift and back. That's a long way, and there's a lot of accidents happening if you're driving that on the Route Soleil. So guys, automation is the way to go, and increasing safety with the aforementioned chocks, locks, and other safety systems around the loading bay, but also in the warehouse. It's super important.
It's a very compelling case, Wouter. What are the barriers to entry for someone who might be looking at doing this?
Many times we look at shuttle traffic, so we have to change a lorry. There's new systems that we are bringing to the market this year that don't need that change. So that could be an entry barrier. Hey guys, I don't know my trucks. I can't change these trucks. Well, those days are over. You don't need to change the truck. You can load within 2 minutes. Then you cannot unload in 2 minutes because of specific technical details. That could be an entry. In the past, that was an entry barrier, and it was then only for the largest volume supplier, 60, 80 pallets per hour out or in at least. Those days are over. So that entry barrier is gone. Return on investment, literally all the time, under 2 years, if not above 2 years, and other aspects as safety and reduced damages might also trigger a CapEx approval. Above 3 years, we say, guys, do it in a different way, but it's building the business case together with any potential client, and they will see investment in any safety increasing item is something they should never say no to. But if that next to saving labor and really literally saving hard cash as well, and introducing all these other benefits, go for it.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I think another important area for all companies in all businesses is this whole area of sustainability, net zero, carbon emissions. It would be good to just get an opinion from all of you on how relevant it is to this particular part of the industry that we're talking about. What can be done? I mean, for instance, Natasha, I know that Right Height, you do doors. There's a lot that can be done to retain heat, etc., and save energy with doors. Could you talk about that a bit, or anything else that has a contribution to the sustainability debate?
Absolutely. I mean, and the high-speed door range that we have is very important in being able to help create some of that separation, to be able to keep zones, temperature within ranges, etc., and the speed of operation of those, to be able to close an opening, whether it be on the level access edge of the building or anywhere internally. But in addition to that, and very much so, we do get an awful lot of conversations and inquiries with our customers. It's in regard to, it's a very simple way of putting it, is keeping the good stuff in and the bad stuff out, but whilst also being able to help reduce those energy costs. And those things can be achieved not only by putting high-speed doors where there is traditionally external, slow operating, more security style doors on the exteriors, but to be able to protect those entrances. But then we also have our destratification, high volume, low speed fans, which can be very good. And again, going back to sort of anything relating to a return on investment, the return on these is very good in being able to reduce either heating costs or even cooling costs. And then in addition to that, you have employee comfort as an addition to that also, that they can be on an individual basis, there can be multiple units of these, and then they can have a what we call the fan commander system that will link to those, can then interlink to BMS systems that really do then allow really good control and make sure that they're operating when they need to, and whether they need to be going in the forward motion, the reverse motion, but then helping to make those energy savings on those heating and cooling costs. Going back into the loading bay, obviously loading bays traditionally always have your dock leveler, they'll have your door, and they have some kind of dock seal shelter, and there are many variations of solutions out there in the marketplace, but some of the other solutions that Right Height have that are different to others enable us to really give a good seal at the bay to really seal off what we call the white light. So anywhere where you can see any daylight, be that at the hinge gap, in the bottom corners, and around the actual trailer itself, the more we can seal that, it then helps in keeping either the cold in, if it's a temperature controlled loading bay area, but then also externally to stop any kind of ingress, anything that's coming in that we don't want in. There's usually another solution that needs to be utilized to remove that ingress, whether it be bug repellents, etc. And there's usually an on cost or an energy usage of those also. And then also at the loading bay, much smaller impact, but again, every little bit helps. We have our LED lighting for use in being able to give that visual for the users at the loading dock also. So there are absolutely a number of solutions.
Comprehensive list.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry if I went on a bit too many.
No, it's good, very good.
Those are absolutely what we have that will absolutely fit right into that area.
Mark, let me come to you. Is it legitimate to say that sustainability has a role to play here in this area or not?
Absolutely. We're all participating in this game, so we all need to be winners in this game. So yeah, participating is doing the correct actions in order to ensure that the world is a better place for everybody and for future generations is everybody's role. I would say on the GMR side of things, while we don't have exactly the seals and the shelters that the Right Height have, I can tell you our contribution to the environment and the sustainability is more in the manufacturing side. We are a manufacturing company. We manufacture these steel components. We're based in Canada, and we've just moved into our new manufacturing facility, which is a unique one-of-a-kind facility in Canada, having some of the only filtration systems that exist right now in the country for the manufacturing process, to ensure that the air we breathe is not contaminated with anything to do with the production of our power chocks. We use solar power. So what we do is we actually self-contain ourselves on the energy and energy sustainability in the manufacturing process itself. So that's how we, as GMR,
thank you, Mark. Wouter, with the automation that you were discussing, does that have a role to play?
Big time, eh? Big time. Absolutely. So we reduce the number of forklifts needed. So no forklift driving, although they are not old fuming diesel forklifts in many countries all day. But so definitely much less forklifts, much less idle time of trailers. So where there's normally drop and hook and 10, 20 trailers are standing, waiting, and etc. Don't need those anymore. There's one trailer fully utilized. We have also double deck, triple deck auto loading systems. We can add more cargo in one trailer. We see a big, and that's very interesting, a big drive for longer trailers, which we also automatically load. So more pallets inside those trailers, less in total trailers needed. So absolutely, and we work for companies that PepsiCo, Procter & Gamble, Unilever, these guys have a road to net zero. 2040 Procter & Gamble net zero. So automation is a big role to play there, and we have to serve these clients. So we're happy to do so.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to talk about it may be that it's a bit too tangential for our discussion here, in which case we can move on. But we're talking about visibility and tracking software now. It's going to enable loading bays to be prepared much more for the trucks that are coming up to the bay, and what they're going to have and what they are going to be containing. Is that something that has relevance to your products at all? If I come to you first, Mark.
First, I need to unmute myself. That does help.
Yeah.
Okay, I start making more sense than when you can hear me. But as far as the product itself on the truck, if you're referring to that, for us as the GMR, as GMR safety, it doesn't. It doesn't mean whether you have food or water or hard goods. The truck still needs to be restrained, attached to the dock door. So I'm giving you the shortest answer, probably.
No, I think I felt it was a bit too tenuous there, but maybe for you, Natasha, I don't know.
I'd be inclined to agree. I mean, I think the time for it is coming, and I think that will ultimately sort of play its part with sort of really good partnerships between, you know, our customers and their hauliers and so on, and that then it helps them plan better and work more efficiently. But yeah, at the moment, I'd be inclined to agree with Mark as well.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think we spoke. Matt Wouter gave us some good evidence on this earlier.
For us, Paul, maybe I can add. For us, it's quite interesting because we found out in a study that you can load a trailer in two minutes, turn around the truck in 5 minutes. But if this same truck driver is then stuck at the exit of a plant or the entry of a warehouse, and he has to wait with other drivers for his paperwork to get and his loads to be controlled, that doesn't work. What you see nowadays, that we integrate scanners that scan all the pallets that are on the loading dock. The computer says this has been automatically loaded successfully. Then in WMS, it's already zapped to the receiving end, and there's an express lane. Nobody waits for nobody. This is the let's say the factory shuttle, the express lane. It comes in, and when the computer says on the outer unloading dock, this was a successful unload, it's already 100% received by the WMS. No transfer of paper, 100% paperless, etc. You can print it for the local policeman if somebody on the road wants to see it. So there's quite some data now involved in that, and also there's speed, less people involved, nobody walking around a loading bay, again walking around with other traffic, just scanning labels, none of that anymore, all 100% automated.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. I'd like to give you all the opportunity to tell us about a use case with your products or a customer success story. Just spend a few minutes telling our audience about that, which can help illustrate and bring to life what you do. So maybe starting with you, Mark.
Okay, so at GMR, we have close cooperation with a company called Sysco. Sysco is a food service provider, very big in the United States and Canada. We've had a multi-year relationship with these guys. They started out by testing us out against dock locks that they had in their operations. They tested a couple of our systems out. What they liked about it is the 5-year guarantee we have on our systems, and that includes unscheduled departures. So the driver could run over the chalk. It is guaranteed. I wish luck for any driver to get over 19-inch high chalk in departure. Maybe some of the Dutch drivers that you were referring to before, Walter, would do something like that. But yeah,
he did last weekend. He did
like last weekend. Yeah.
He certainly did.
As Verstappen tried to demonstrate, it really is tough to get that high. But as far as Sysco is concerned, they did test us out, and they liked the 5-year guarantee, and had basically, we have gone with them on to put thousands of our systems throughout their operations in Canada and the United States. And what they're doing is, as their dock locks break, because there are unscheduled departures, dock locks fall apart 2 or 3 years in, 4 or 5 years in, they fall apart. As they come off, they're placing the GMR systems, which have a life cycle of 15 years there. The other thing that really attracted them to it is the maintenance costs, because what they've done is they did a study on over 2,000 systems that they have of ours, and they came up with a $9.40 per year per system cost for maintenance for our systems. You just calculate that over the 2,000 systems that they had, and the cost of doing business with GMR immediately makes sense and brings value to the whole equation. So as we go through, we are replacing their docks so that we will have all docks for Cisco with GMR systems on them in the very near future, because we are growing with them and we are their choice of trailer restraints right now. One other thing I wanted to add, this is a food service company, and as I was referring to before, they have moved into more vehicles that have the lift gates, and therefore that is another reason to move towards a wheel restraint rather than a dock lock, which cannot hold a lift gated vehicle. So there were several actions that had led to a very mutually beneficial relationship with a company like Cisco.
Congratulations for that, Mark. Thank you very much. Natasha, tell us something about Right Height.
Great story, by the way, Mark, and congratulations for sure. We have a number of strategic relationships with companies globally, and one in particular that I'm currently working with and have done over a number of years at Right Height. But right now, their emphasis is very clear, and their requests are strong, is Mars, and in particular within the pet care sector. And if none of you have ever been into a pet care factory, the one thing I can tell you is you could eat your dinner from the floor in those places. They are super clean. It's amazing. However, when they came to me in this particular site, they already had have a number of our global wheel locks that I installed for them back in 2017. But they now have some other areas in relation to a standard that is set certainly globally, but specifically for them here in the UK at the moment. It is all about really enhancing that safety at the loading bay. So we're in the process at the moment of adding in all of those products that I mentioned earlier, the Dock Guardian barrier. We're adding in the FlexNet dock light. We're exchanging their shelters to go into the Eclipse range of our dock shelter, to really seal those gaps. But in addition to that, they have some other unusual areas where we're then taking the products, which will absolutely do exactly what it says on the tin. It will restrain the vehicle, but these vehicles are where they have the in-feed area of the raw materials, which are sitting in a particularly unusual position, but again, making sure that the vehicle restraint will hold that vehicle and keep it safe for the people in the area who've got to test and sample that product before it's then input into there. And there are many customers who have the same example, who have the same story, but one of the successes that I can actively speak about right now is definitely with the Mars Group, for sure.
That's a great story, thank you. Wouter, tell us something, and it's a success story about Geloda.
Yeah, I'm in the car, right? So hopefully I'm on my way to another success story, but let's wait for that and I'll keep you informed. No. I have two customers that I really want to mention. One is because also with its location, I was amazed what I saw there. This is Coca-Cola, and it's a Coca-Cola bottling partner, Andina, in Chile, in Santiago. And what I saw there is amazing. What they've implemented with us is 100% automation, bottling lines, 30 AGVs of Electric 80, a big partner of us, a big AGV supplier. No touch, placing an unbelievable volume of pallets in an intermediate storage directly behind the bottling lines. Then customer orders to the intermediate regional distribution centers. They are automatically loaded by the AGVs. If you see that, the quietness there and the smooth operation, very few people walking around in South America, and that's why I really want to mention it. They place the pallets directly on our loading dock. The trailer arrives, loads, moves in 2 minutes, trailer leaves, goes to a warehouse, automatically unloaded, and that's where a man-driven forklift takes the pallets and places them in a manual racked warehouse. Amazing in Chile, the degree of automation and the professionalism in that thing, and we were the missing piece of the puzzle, because they were still forklift loading. You see all this automation, but then all the failed Formula One drivers on the forklifts, again with respect, but that's one case. It's amazing, and it's a really cool client, a fantastic reference case, and a fantastic country as well. Really developed in terms of its logistics. So the other one that I really want to mention is Henkel detergent. Amazing group of people there, and 100% advocates of 4.0. I think they're really at the forefront of automating anywhere and anything that they can. A very big project now in the US, but also Mexico, Poland, Spain, in many other countries, we have automatic loading inside, and they have basic building blocks with very good trusted suppliers that they copy, and they have the degree of automation, of safety, and of really 4.0, 100% data driven mind. And that's a big compliment to those guys. They are an inspiration, and then especially Mr. Christian Wastel, global logistics director, and Mr. Dirk Holbach, who's very famous, I think, in logistics business, an absolute inspiration. And Google these guys, because they are inspiration. What they do, wow. And we
Great
are
stuff.
a supplier, yeah.
Thank you, Wouter. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Mark. We will wind up on that encouraging note from Wouter. Just to say to our audience, please do use the question facility on your live text, and our participants will be delighted to answer any further questions that are still to come. Meanwhile, nothing more to say, and then thank you very much, and see you next time, guys, and have a safe trip in the car, Wouter. Cheers.
Thank you very much, guys. See
Thank
you.
you.
Very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.